Welcome. I recommend you play this build in trade first, until you are familiar with it. Before we start the run, I must recommend to not choose hardcore with this build, as if you accidentally kill yourself it counts as death for hardcore. And remember, we are not trying to get a world record speedrun, just play for fun. However, we still want to run through this zone as fast as possible, because the boss gives a full level of experience. Be sure to start attacking as you pass the checkpoint, and you will damage him before he can react. Also, don't forget to equip the Unearth spell, and use it in this battle, alongside your Chaos Bolt. Once in town, speak to Renly for a skill gem, then proceed to go straight out, opposite to where we just came in. Our first skill gem will be Skeletal Sniper. When we get out of town, we must find the guaranteed skill gem which spawns in this area. Another thing to keep an eye out for is a shield, which we will make use of later. In this area is also a reward which gives a permanent boost to cold resistance. We need to make sure we have found the skill gem, so we may choose Flame Wall to combo with our Skeletal Sniper, which must be summoned in the gem menu. This boss creates a lot of corpses, so remember to use Unearth in this fight. Armor is very important at this stage of the game. Not having any will cause you to die against normal enemies. After just 2 items, we have 53 armor with an estimated 35% reduction. This is from our armor and gloves. In the Mud Burrow is the hatchery, which has a good chance of giving us useful gear this early on. After killing the Devourer and taking the skill gem, remember to visit Renly in town for a support gem. We want to choose Scattershot as our first support, and give it to our sniper. He will now spawn 3 gas clouds. To get our hands on another support gem, we must go into the Grellwood and find the witch's hut. Also click on her cauldron to receive both a life and mana flask. We can also use any orbs we have on them for improvements. Our second support gem will be Last Gasp, which ensures consistent uptime on our skeletal snipers, which die very easily at this early stage. The Bramblegast is also a very important fight for us, as we can get another skill gem. Before attempting this fight, make sure you have found both skills, and both support gems, which we just viewed. You may prefer to level with a different build, like minions, but this guide will set you up for barrier invocation, with the right skill tree. At this point in the game, do not expect to have much gear. So long as you choose the correct gems and skill points, you will be fine. Before fighting the Rust King, make sure the snipers and Flame Wall have been leveled up to 2. Back in town, we must check with the vendors for different weapons. The scepter we have is entirely your preference. I don't like low-level skeletons as they die too easily, and make it harder to hit the poison arrow. Also remember to use the orbs you find on gear. If you get lucky, the item may become useful for many levels. With the level 3 gem, we will put our shield to use, and select Shield Charge. Ervig has another important reward for us to earn, another support gem. After this boss, we proceed into the cemetery. By the time we get to Asenia, or Draven, we would like to have found enough gems to create both Contagion and Essence Drain, and have the stats to equip them. Also remember to keep checking the shops in town, and equipment you find, so you can use the orbs on the best items. Once Contagion and Essence Drain are learnt, there will be few changes for the rest of the act. Just remember to follow the skill tree in the planner. After making our way to Fry Thorn, we must continue towards the King in the Mists, using our Shield Charge. With this battle, try and remember to keep Essence Drain active as much as possible, and the Ignite from Flame Wall helps too. Otherwise try to kite, stay away from harmful effects and use your life flask when needed. Once defeated, check the altar for a good chance to get rare items. Most importantly, choose a Ruby Charm from Finn. The Ruby Charm, for extra fire resistance, is helpful later on. Don't forget, the Beast Einhar left for us will give 2 extra skill points. There will be other locations which offer extra gems or skill points, and we must check on the map which locations offer a reward, based on the presence of a plus symbol next to the map icon. All of these objectives are important, as they offer our character stat boosts or skill points, and even skill gems or rare items. Before finishing Act 1, you may encounter the boss known as Candlemass. Do not fight him. The bonus life is a permanent boost which we do not want to have later in the game. After completing Act 1, we want to get to the Trial of Sekhemas as fast as possible, so that we may unlock demon form. The first boss in Act 2 will easily take you out if you are lacking armor. Make sure you are still equipping items with bonus armor, so that we receive reduced physical damage. We must check shops for items with specific affixes. We will not be using barrier invocation for a while, so there is plenty of time to find jewelry with fire resistance. It's a good idea to keep all of your items updated from now on, as the enemies are growing stronger. This means it is important to keep our resistances as high as we possibly can. We should also consider any items with life or armor. Fire resistance is important in this fight. The ruby charm we took from Finn will keep us alive against the many bosses in this act who use fire. After the quarry, you should have enough points to start investing in life on kill, which will greatly improve our clear in between boss encounters. Always check to see if your gems can be upgraded, as extra levels are a powerful increase in damage for us at this stage. As we travel with the caravan, we eventually arrive at Traitor's Passage, where we can fight Balbala, for a key to the trials of Sekhemas. When the green poison appears, Balbala will be hiding somewhere around the edge of the arena. We must approach Balbala to reveal her, and then quickly dodge her counterattack. We may try the trials of Sekhemas immediately after this battle, but it is not a problem to level up. If we wait until level 22 we can make use of gem level 7, which will make the boss much easier to deal with. By the time I had battled Jamanra, I was still not level 22, so in this playthrough I decided to keep playing through the campaign, because getting the level 7 gem ensures we quickly complete the trial. If you are fully clearing zones, you will likely be much higher level than me at this point. If you do decide to go to Trial of the Sekhemas, without leveling up, the skill tree is already configured to supplement demon form, being completed at level 19, if you are trying to be fast. The next boss will also deal lots of fire damage, another reason to have gotten the ruby charm from Finn back in Act 1. With this boss, we must not let him hit the braziers, the metal cages with fire in them, or they will explode and cause burning ground which damages us. At this point in the playthrough, we had finally unlocked level 7 gems, and so were confident that the damage in the gems alone would be enough. After unlocking demon form, we socket Bonestorm with Scattershot and Arcane Tempo, and put Second Wind in demon form. We still have Essence Drain with Swift Affliction and Chain, while Contagion has Unleash. Even with high health, which makes it harder to reach higher stacks with demon form, we are able to get to at least 40 stacks just after our ascension, because we have life on kill from the skill tree. During boss fights, try starting with 10 stacks, and use the life flask to keep going. If you're following the guide, make sure you keep up to date with your skill tree. At this stage, every point really helps. We will also want to keep an eye out for fire resistance jewelry, as we will transition into that later on, but for now we are fine with life, armor, and resistances. The true benefit of this leveling build lies in the map clearing, with a fast jump, and combining Contagion and Essence Drain, with the power of demon form. Sometimes we may have to transform if we notice our life is getting low and we cannot recover it. This may be difficult at first, to keep track of, but will not be a problem for long. After fighting with Jamanra, we continue on to Act 3. At the start of Act 3, the Auric campsite will give us a lesser jeweler's orb, which is guaranteed from this basket. Remember to keep an eye out for the special encounters, which reward us with permanent boosts. The mighty Silver Fist will grant us 2 extra skill points. We can choose a permanent reward from completing the Venom crypts in Act 3. Either are a good choice. I prefer the elemental ailment to protect us from chill, freeze, shock, electrocute and ignite, opposed to just stun. We can get yet another jeweler's orb in the chimeral wetlands, so rush to this. Remember to go back to town and use the well, if you run out of life flask charges. Do not keep fighting without them, as you will die. This is only temporary, until we complete Trials of Chaos. Keeping Essence Drain active as often as possible, while still channeling Bonestorm, can be difficult to control. We must create a rhythm, and learn the timing. Flasks are the most important item to keep upgraded. The affix depends on your preference, instant recovery or more, for longer, perhaps more charges instead. We have a lot of flexibility based on our playstyle. Very importantly for us, we can also get an extra 10% fire resistance by defeating this boss. At this point I am now level 36, and so can equip level 10 skill gems. With this in mind, similarly to how we waited for an upgrade before attempting Trial of the Sekhemas, we have waited again for our gem to upgrade. Be sure to upgrade your skill gems before going into the Trials of Chaos. The build planner will have multiple sections for each period of the leveling journey. Once defeating the boss of the first trial, we are allowed to choose a second Ascendancy point. We can take advantage of Mastered Darkness, although you may choose not to if you are comfortable managing your life with flasks. We must get to the end of Act 3, and fight multiple bosses who stand in our way. Try to master the rhythm of alternating between Essence Drain and Bonestorm, while using your flasks in between. With our current setup, we can manage demon form stacks by limiting them, and our large life pool allows us to survive the biggest hits that the campaign dishes out. In Cruel, until the new acts from 4 through 6 are released, we will replay 1 through 3. In Act 1 Cruel, it is helpful to have extra cold resistance, especially against the Count. Because of the extra strength we have on the tree, picking up armor bases is easy for us to do. As again, we encounter enemies with high physical damage. We can use our life flask for both defense and offense to keep us alive, as well as sustain demon form for damage. Because we cannot support both life and energy shield recovery, at this point in the game, it is not advised to focus on energy shield during the campaign. We will switch to energy shield later, once we have found energy shield items. Until then, we stick with armor. When playing with Essence Drain and Contagion, it is important to herd the enemies together, because the enemies must be close for the Contagion to spread. We will also want to complete the Relic quest in Cruel, because the reward is beneficial. In Normal, it had no effect whatsoever. If we can find both the Sun Clan and Kabbalah Clan relics, we can get an extra 15% life flask recovery, which is a boon this early in progression. We must select the buff to keep it active, and it will not change unless we select the other option. During the fight with Jamanra, we would like to wear our topaz rings, for extra lightning resistance, as well as any extra rolls we have. Armor bases are also important, as Jamanra will deal physical damage to us. Ideally we would try to trade for the unique items, or farm them ourselves from the campaign, so that we can make the switch to Barrier Invocation before starting the last act. We have to set up just like any other Barrier Invocation build, so we cast our curse to gain charges, then use our flasks and start casting. An important note is our Infernal Flame amount, at just 260. This is what makes the build possible. For a level 55, with 2000 recovery per second. Heading over to the inventory, we can see our flask is only transcendent, and so we can easily upgrade this. The items we have cannot have mana on them. It will completely break the build. We need at least 80% fire resistance, and an extra 5% maximum fire resistance from Infernoclasp, to reach that amount, as well as Enfolding Dawn, to reduce our maximum flame. Comet is used with Spell Echo and Unleash, to increase the mana cost. If we don't use Unleash, the mana cost is not high enough to loop. We can see the mana cost for Comet is slightly higher than our Infernal Flame, so it will generate energy each charge. This is why it's important not to have mana on items, because we would never be able to increase the mana cost high enough. Eye of Winter will fill our flame with 2 charges, and with level 13 gems, we only just managed to make this happen. For Comet, Spell Echo and Unleash must be there, but any other multiplier will work. I recommend Penetration, for bosses. Eye of Winter must have Impetus, but the other 2 supports are just mana multipliers. Exposure helps our Comet, but it doesn't matter which supports are used, so long as they increase the mana cost. We still use Demon Form, and obviously, now we have upgraded to Barrier Invocation, we'll be using Pyromantic Pact as well. We must have damage recoup, which will stop us from dying due to Demon Flame stacks. We only need to last for 40 seconds, because that is the cooldown with Second Wind enabled. We want to avoid taking too much damage from Demon Flame, while Barrier Invocation is active. We also have to have Eternal Youth, so we may restore our energy shield. We also get extra meta energy, because our other stats are so low, and we can't manipulate them easily. This is also required. Pathing through the Ranger starting area, we take almost every Flask recovery node, alongside extra charges, and more duration. Moving down to both Oasis and Hard to Kill, it is important we get as much Flask recovery as we can, particularly with Vision Runes in the gear, like I showed before. Heavy Drinker is anointed through the amulet. We are able to get it with skill points, but it costs 10 points, which makes this cheap anointment very beneficial early on. With any Barrier Invocation build, using multiple of them to ramp the energy gain, means that if your character is not optimized, with gear and jewels, casting too quickly will kill us. Once we gain levels, it becomes much safer, but at level 55, with cheap 1x gear, we must be careful. I'm not going to tell you this is for solo self-found, without telling you how to get these items, so let's go back to Act 1, for our Pilgrim Vestment, in Folding Dawn. The very first zone outside of town contains Beira, who we will kill repeatedly, until she gives us what we want. This can obviously be done at the very start of the game, so you can level, in solo self-found, with uniques. Remember to check the other items she drops, for the increased rarity stat, which will make farming uniques easier. Once she dies, we must enter a new zone, so that a new version of her respawns for us to loot. For this to work, we must open the instance manager when we attempt to go into the zone, and select New Area, which will respawn all of the mobs inside, and is best done in a party at low levels, as this will greatly increase the chance of a unique. We can also farm the Executioner for items. Remember, in this act we want Enfolding Dawn, and the Revered Resin Amulet. For Infernoclasp, I would recommend farming in the Dreadnought. The reason for this is because of the high monster density. If this were to change, its viability for farming may be diminished, similar to the Lost City. We are now able to easily dispatch any boss, even with low demon form stacks, which is only really useful for the extra skill levels, which increase mana cost. The final reward I will mention is yet again the Venom Crypt's draft, and this time, Attributes is the best choice to help us equip our spells, an Alchemist's Boon, and wear additional strength support gems. As we level up, our mana will increase, which will occasionally stop our loop from working, which means we have to manually cast our curse to charge our invocation. To solve this, we simply keep our gems leveled, and stay away from items with mana on them, as we cannot increase the mana cost anymore without an additional socket, through a Corruption or Jeweler's Orb. Running through the map is so smooth now we have Barrier Invocation. Casting spells while jumping at double speed is fun. If you have gear with extra dexterity or intelligence, equip an Alchemist Boon Spirit Gem, with the Herbalism support, for even more recovery. Our gear will not change after this point. We will only get more skill points to spend on the tree, which we spend on recovery. Unfortunately, we cannot do this at our first Ascendancy, and we would struggle at our second, transitioning at level 55 during the start of Act 3 crawl, with a couple of unique items which are farmable in Act 1 and Act 2, is the best way to get the build online. Even though we are still just a low level, this build is fully capable of clearing all content in the game, even with low level gear and gems. We will fill out the skill tree, and also keep upgrading gems and items. But, ignore mana, and if possible, life, as this increases the damage demon form does to us. For the last phase of the Doriani fight, we have transformed and reset our demon flame stacks. It takes hardly any time for us to take down the boss, and unlock the endgame Atlas. Lastly, I would like to show this level 65 character. complete a tier 17 map, or monster level 81 zone, with a boss and a level 14 Comet. Enjoy! I hold down mouse 4, while pressing my left and right mouse button alternately, to heal, and cast a round of Eye of Winters. Each time 4 charges are expended, flame fills twice, and we get enough energy to cast a Comet. The energy gained from casting Comet as well as 4 Eye of Winters, is enough to allow another 4 castings of Eye of Winter. In this way, we achieve a loop. Thanks for watching, and take care.